affirm the currently constitutionally protected rights of women and girls, their reproductive rights and freedoms in California.
While California today might be recognized as a place where abortion is pretty easy to access, this hasn't always been the case.
The subject tonight is, should abortions be legalized? I think a more appropriate title for tonight's discussion would be Man's Inhumanity to Women.
Talk to me about finding out that you were pregnant, and especially in this time of your lives and where you were. Talk to me about that moment.
Well, it was very tragic for me and complicated our lives and put us in financial jeopardy. And the only way out for me was to have an abortion.
It was 1966. Cheryl and Clifton were 22, and abortion in California was illegal except to save a woman's life. But Cheryl was determined to get one.
There were always people who were willing to provide these procedures illegally. It can be your atypical back alley butcher, but it also can be a licensed physician or surgeon who is performing an abortion.
We went into it was an apartment building. I think we went up to the second floor of that apartment building, and we came in and the doctor took Cheryl back. So I'm sitting there on the couch in the living room, and a quick knock at the door.
It was a Los Angeles Police Department. They had been tipped off. What transpired in the apartment that day in 1966 set off a chain reaction that would change the lives of the young couple from California and the respected pro-abortion physician who referred them, and lead to the decriminalization of abortion in California years before Roe v. Wade.
My grandfather was a staunch supporter of women's rights to have health care. He learned of back alley abortions being done in back seats of cars, in alleys, in bad areas where there was no light and people could get away with things, and there were women's bodies left in alleys, bloody and, from failed attempts. And, women doing this in their own homes, taking a coat hanger.
All those who oppose me have never brought out any constructive suggestion what to do about these women who die and who go to abortionists.
Dr. Leon Ballas was a well-respected physician. He was well-respected in the Los Angeles medical community. He was not a fringe doctor by any means, but he was interested in having California liberalize the existing abortion laws.
He wrote op-eds, was on the radio, and appeared on television advocating for legalizing abortion.
We were watching the Louis Lomax show, and it was a talk show in the, 1960s?
Mm-hmm. We were sitting together on a couch there in South Pasadena watching that episode, and this doctor was pro-abortion, and he was talking about the need to legalize abortion. And so after that show, and considering our dilemma, we made a contact with him.
Cheryl and Cliff begged him for a referral. At first, he resisted, but eventually he relented after realizing that the couple was desperate enough to do anything. He referred them to a doctor he trusted who was licensed in Mexico and who could perform the procedure in Los Angeles.
It was a very quick abortion, probably 15 minutes.
Court records show that when LAPD officers came in, they found an address book with Dr. Ballas' name. That led to his arrest. In 1967, he was convicted of abortion and conspiracy to commit abortion, fined $5,000, and placed on probation for 2 years. Cheryl and Clifton served as the prosecution's witnesses.
And they threatened to take us to jail right then if we didn't agree to testify to the grand jury about what happened. So we kind of caved into that pressure, not wanting to go to jail.
Ballas was initially convicted in 1967, and then that same year, California Governor Ronald Reagan signed the Therapeutic Abortion Act in California. The Therapeutic Abortion Act was an attempt to try to standardize abortion care in California, to basically say these are the categories pretty much everyone accepts as justifiable, so these are the reasons that will allow an abortion to take place. That law was kind of passed after Ballas was initially, arrested, convicted for violating the previous abortion statute.
Dr. Ballas appealed his conviction.
It was only later that he told all of us that he was getting this every day. They were coming to the office, they were coming to the clinic, they were coming to his home. There's no fence. You just walked up and hurled a rock through it. All all three of those were broken. And
this was the library, you said?
That was the library, dining room entry. I was 4.5 or 5, and I learned to read pretty early in life, but I wasn't that great at it, but I knew how to spell die. I knew how to spell baby.
People recognized the impact that Ballas could have on the national arena because it was a physician, because it was someone who was so well respected, because it was, a young, family next door couple who could be your daughter, could be your sister.
The California Supreme Court and People v. Ballas ruled in favor of Ballas, finding that the state's 116-year-old abortion law was unconstitutional.
This was the first state to kind of abandon their abortion statute.
Had no idea that this was sort of a precursor to Roe v. Wade. You're the one that brought that up and showed us the articles about that.
Shortly after the Ballas decision, other states began challenging their own abortion restrictions.